Hey, I'm Doug, and welcome to another episode of Amps, Racks, and Rigs. This time around, we're checking out the brand new HELIX Stadium from Line 6, and it's amazing. A few months ago, I had the privilege of being able to go to the launch event. Recently, a unit showed up here. I've had a chance to spend a bunch of time playing through it. Absolutely fallen in love with it. The goal of this video is to share what I love about this thing, and we're going to break this video down in the following sections to do that. In a moment, we're going to go into demos, rigs, and routing, where you're going to get a chance to hear more of my favorite Agoura amp models, and you're going to get a chance to hear HELIX Stadium through Powercab CL, in case you want to make your stadium loud. Then in the 5 things you want to know section, I'm going to talk about the most important things I think you're going to want to know. Then in the wrap, I'm going to talk about some of the things that are coming in future firmware updates. All right, if you've got any questions or suggestions for future stadium videos, leave them down below, presuming you're watching this on YouTube. Or I have a weekly live stream, Doppler's Gear Garage, that airs every Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific on YouTube and Facebook. Ask your questions there. With that said, let's get to the demos, rigs, and routing. For all the demos except for the one you're about to hear, I was coming out of the digital SPDIF out on the back of Stadium into the SPDIF in on my Universal Audio interface. For this next one, I'm using the XLRs on the back of Powercab, and we'll talk a little bit more about that after the demo. So for that one, I was using the Luxe black amp model, which is based on a 60s era black panel Deluxe reverb, classic sound. I was also using the Hot Springs reverb in stereo. So one of the other things that happened about 3/4 of the way through the demo, I kind of take a little bit of a rest, and you can hear some of the single coil noise poke through. And I thought about redoing it, but I thought, you know what, this is a great talking point. Normally, I would have redone it and added a gate in there, such that when I took that little rest, the gate just gently made the guitar muted, and then when I start playing, it would open up again. The gates in here are great. However, it's a great talking point in case you use guitars with single coil pickups to keep that in mind. It's a great trick. Now, as I said, I was running the reverb in stereo coming out of the dual XLRs on the back of Stadium into the respective XLRs on my Powercab CLs. Now, Powercab CL has a bunch of stuff going on, so I'll just try and keep it to the bare minimum. It's my understanding, and reading the manual, that basically it's running what you're hearing on stage, emulations of classic speakers. And I had it on the Jetson setting, which is a emulation of a Jensen C12K. However, depending on how you have Powercab set, you can also use the EQ on there, and you can either choose to mirror whatever settings on the amplifier, the emulation, with an actual IR, in this case of the Jensen C12K, as I understand. And that's what I was piping out via the XLR. Now, you can make a bunch of adjustments so you choose to mirror it, not mirror it, load your own IRs, all sorts of great stuff there. But basically what I was doing was this, is what I was hearing there was what I was pushing through into the DAW, which is synonymous to what I would want to do with the PA. Why that matters? Because when we're on stage, we want to be able to hear what we're doing. We want to be able to EQ it for the stage and the venue and the band, and in turn, have some control over what goes out to, in this particular case, the DAW, but the PA. And that sort of control and having volume on stage is a giant win. So for that one, I was using another new Agoura amp model, the Solid 100. And my favorite thing about that demo was when I backed off on the volume control, all of a sudden, it really cleaned up. The Line 6 guys really knocked it out of the park there. That's really hard to do. It speaks to what the Agoura models are doing. that previous Line 6 models did not do. Great job, guys. All right, now, in addition to that, I was using the Cali Q, which is based on a Mesa Boogie 5-band EQ. I just kind of tuck things in a little bit. I was also using the Legacy Plate Reverb, and that's in the Legacy folder in the reverbs there, and that's one of my favorite reverbs. I'm so glad that it's still in there. Awesome sound. So that is one of the models that I got a chance to play at the Line 6 Stadium launch event a couple of months ago at Line 6 headquarters. That is the Brit 2203 MV model, and it's fabulous. Also known as the JCM 800, one of my least favorite Marshalls. But that sound, holy cow. Short version, I was working on what's going to be the next demo, digging in for kind of a crosstown traffic vibe. The phone rang, I stopped, and I started noodling, and that's what came out. And in many ways, that's very different than anything I played before. And that for me is one of the most important things that I'm always looking for. Does a new piece of gear cause me to do something that I hadn't done or wouldn't have done without it? And the answer is definitely yes. That's the completely stock model, the way you kind of dial it up when you build a preset from scratch. I did add just a little tiny bit of the Hot Springs reverb, but holy cow, what a sound. So that is the new Agoura Brit Plexi, which I just love. But I will say I had to do a little bit of finessing to get it to sit where I wanted it to in the track. So let me walk through what I did. After the amp model, I put a Deluxe comp just to tuck it in a little bit. And then instead of using one cabinet, I used two cabinets. I swapped out the cabinet for a black back loaded cabinet, and I put one on the left and one on the right. One using an IR with an E906, which is a Sennheiser, and one on the right with an SM7B, which is a Shure. And that allows the two sides to kind of open and close a little bit differently. The end result was a vibe that when I kind of dug in a little bit, it kind of not only got a little bit gainier, but it also got a little squishier, because one of the great things about a traditional non-master volume amplifier is you turn them up, you get this great tube amp compression. It's one of the greatest things ever. Love that sound. So that gets us to 5 things I think you want to know about HELIX Stadium. And first and foremost, take a look at all that I/O. Dual expression jacks, dual 1/4-inch instrument inputs, microphone XLR input, 4 effects loops, XLR left and right out, 1/4-inch left and right out, headphones out, the Nexus connection for the forthcoming D10 box, SPDIF in and out. You have the micro SD for the forthcoming showcase, native MIDI in and out, USB-A, USB-C, and of course, you got the power on and off. Number 2, thanks to the 7x4 touchscreen, creating a new preset is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Number 3, for those of us who like to test the processing power of our devices, it's super important to remember to separate multiple instances of amplifiers and IRs on the 2 different paths inside Stadium. Number 4, I don't have a tendency to wear these on stage for a range of reasons, and the visual display is great for dimly lit stages or those of us who don't want to wear our glasses on stage. Number 5, last but in no way least, is focus view. Simply select the focus icon, and you can use your finger to drag around the screen to dial in tones. This is great, for example, for an amp that maybe you're not familiar with. So that's a wrap, almost. There are two main things that are on the horizon immediately for Stadium. The D10 breakout box that's going to connect via the Nexus port on the back of Stadium. And that's replacing L6 Link as a protocol that connects different Line 6 gear. Super excited to see what that's going to support. Also, and most importantly for me, Showcase. So I'm a musician that spent a lot of years traveling around, playing with bands, but also playing with tracks. And the ability to have not only my tracks inside Stadium, but to have it change presets automatically. It's a really big deal. All right, first of all, I want to say thank you for watching this video. I also want to ask, if by chance you've not subscribed to the channel, please do so. And don't forget to... With that said, thanks so much for watching. Cheers.